Hello, 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 I'm Jack Zombiel. Welcome to Zombielectuals. This is my second doll refacing. If you'd like to see my first custom doll, I made a two-part series on my Pennywise from Stephen King's novel It. I'll include those links down below. The doll I'll be using as my base today I got from Goodwill. I've never worked with an EverAfter high doll before. To be honest, the accessories were a little lacking. I like the stand. I'm going to use that for my Pennywise. The glasses were sturdy enough, but I would have lost these pretty quick as a kid. I also didn't like that the crown was attached. I've said it before, I don't like things permanently mounted with tabs. I wish the backpack opened. Yeah, I never liked this kind of add-on. My guess is the show probably made it super detailed and they couldn't achieve that with functionality, while also being incredibly frugal. It's like a hunk of plastic. Yeah, dude, come here, feel this.
What the fuck?
Right? But we lucked out with the outfit. This is exactly what I need to make a pattern for the outfit. Ooh, what kind of rock is it?
My 17-karat Walo opal.
Oh, everyone, this is Drew's rock.
Rock Talk with Drew!
Okay, back to the clothes. These clothes are really cheap. Like, the texture's really thin and scratchy. I mean, at least I can use it for the pattern, but I don't like the texture of these clothes. This is not pleasing. And we'll just rip these tabs off. There we go. And while we're ripping, let's rip off this guy's face and put down a base coat of Mr. Super Clear. Now we're moving on to the face. I had to test some colors so that we could see what our final result might look like. I had a few colors I wanted to see side by side. I even mixed my own silver with some shimmer powder. I tested the two I liked on the arm and made a decision. I really like this dark metallic. It may not be the very silver face paint that Captain Disillusion actually uses, but I think this will make this doll very dynamic looking. I only had one problem when I was handling it a bit too soon. It smeared and I touched it up and let it dry completely. To make the outfit, I went to the thrift store and searched the baby section and got all the colors I needed for under $2. I like using the bottom hem of a recycled garment to finish a cuff, or even to just use as a new hem. I started with the easiest part, sewing the pants, and of course, messed that up, sewed it inside out. So I had to walk away from the project and take a breath, then we came back and ripped that seam back out. The shirt was very easy. I used the same technique I use for full-size shirts. The jacket took the longest. I had to find an old top that had the perfect ribbon for this detail going down the sleeves, so that took a little bit. Putting it together was really tricky. One pocket ended up lower down than the other, and I tried to hide it by posing the doll in a particular way, but when it ended up standing natural, it looked so obvious. I left it alone for a few days, didn't want to mess with it, but later I came back in and ripped that seam and redid the bottom of the coat, and I love the results. I was so proud of how it looked. So much better. I loved it. These were probably the most complicated thing in the project. I had to scan video for shots of his shoes, eventually searching the web finding a subreddit that mentions the shoes. I got a close-up picture of everything but the bottom. Which is hilarious to me because the very next video he posted after I finished this doll, you see the bottom of his shoes. Did you see that? Go back. Freeze. Enhance. Enhance. Right there. Let me tell you, these shoes were nearly a pipe dream. The base structure was something I had to experiment with over and over. I had the entire process in my head, and I really didn't expect to be able to make it happen. I try to keep my notes and my patterns in a folder after I finish a project. Sometimes those measurements really come in handy later. I started with the outline of the feet and cut the soles out of a DVD case I used for Mermaid Tales last summer. I'm gonna fast forward through this. Sharp things at high speed are endlessly hilarious to me. Now that I had the two soles cut out, I shaved them down to be roughly the same shape.
All right.
The clay process tends to be the slowest. I really like working in layers. Originally, I didn't know you could bake something shortly to basically lock it in place. As someone who loves layering in Photoshop, this streamlined my process. Now that I'm using an electric oven, it doesn't consume my day and I don't feel guilty preheating. Next, I molded the toe cover. The first try wasn't great and wasn't going to hold up structurally, but I learned a lot, and I also glued my fingers together. Here's a tip: soap, water, and acetone. So, great effort, and do it again. For the second go at this, I decided to start with the heel and build forward. That was a much better choice. After creating the heel, I could start forming the bottom of the shoe. As I said earlier, I didn't get any insight on the bottom, so I chose to be a little extra. Now that I had a plan for the tread of the shoes, things started picking up. I wanted the letters to be the focal point, so I went with a very simple pattern. I edited down 3 hours of footage for this section of video alone. I cut away the excess tread after it was baked, so it wouldn't deform with the pressure of the knife. Then I had to show them off on Snapchat. For the middle of the shoe, I'm using the same fabric as the shirt, so they match. The next part required me to wrap his feet in plastic, because we're about to break out the two-part epoxy.
Or break out the turbo snake.
The plastic cutouts from the DVD case are going to make a solid plate for the fabric to sit on. Oh look, I'm making progress on the details of the jacket. So this next part is really complicated. I cut out matching segments of ribbon that will form these loops here on the side. These get glued down in place on the bottom layer, along with the string that will weave around the shoe. I plot out the layers and the steps. I was working on the shoes in two parts, the inner versus the outer part. While I was working on this stage in the project, I was also able to paint and seal the hands. The first thing I glued down was this top ribbon. The ribbon on top has to be glued down section by section. I used toothpicks as spacers. This is when I can really see the shoes starting to come together. While gluing the fabric part of the shoe down to the clay bottom, I have to do this in sections, because I still have to feed the string around the shoe and through the loops. Let's get a nice shot of these. They are surprisingly sturdy too. I'm really proud of these. I actually like it's been a while since I made this project, and the shoes, I think they're my favorite part. Like I would wear these shoes. Let's go back to that jacket for a sec. I definitely should have done this earlier before I closed the sleeves. Do you remember when I said that ribbon was crucial? After marking out the eyes, I made a discovery. My acrylics dried out. They were from the dollar store and over 2 years old, so I guess it's about time to get some new ones. On the bright side, I think I'm finally learning that layering nail polish is just too thick. Don't do it. I think when it's used for just one layer, you get the best out of it. The silver on the face turned out really well, especially when given time to dry and then sealed. I had an idea of what I wanted this style to look like, and I did not achieve that. I got more of Steve Buscemi.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Let's try this again. The next day I was able to swing by a craft store and get some paints and a set of colored pencils, so I drew in his irises and then experimented with paint. Look, you can see me mixing and testing colors.
Because I could find freedom on this canvas. There's absolute freedom here.
The guy liner was an artistic choice, I regret only slightly. After finishing, I add some nail polish, completely obliterating the detail, and called it a day.
Ladies, fall season is here, so bust out the ellipses because dots are in. I mean, I don't know much about fashion, but they must be in. Because what other possible explanation could there be for this video having 2.5 million views?
Your favorite morning hero, Captain Disillusion. Collect all his crime-fighting uniforms. Classic Captain. Fashionista. And old-timey wrestler. He's ready for all your adventures. Ever vigilant, he's exposing the truth. He can kick. He can punch. He can fly. He's landing in a store near you. Rocket fuel not included, lens flare sold separately.
Remember, love with your heart, use your head for everything else. Captain Disillusion!
I want to thank everyone who's helped me with this undertaking. I started this video in September and had some health complications which took me away from creating. But I have some projects filmed and I look forward to sharing them with you. So subscribe and hit that bell. What, do you need like incentive or something? Well, here it is, Tiny Bakery, that's right, subscribe to Zombie Lectuals, check out my work on Instagram and the other videos on my channel. Have a good day.